Hello again, everyone. Brandon here. Today's video is not about the Beatles, even though it looks like it, but it's not. This is going to be a video talking about or discussing the comments from a video I made about Delphi. And this video was published in, I think, November 28th, and it was shot over the weekend of Thanksgiving, so it was right around the same time. And this was the Freedom and Monon High Bridge and Trail, Monon High Bridge Trail. Since then, I received a lot of comments on there, and I thought it would be interesting to go through them, hear what people think, their thoughts, my thoughts. Maybe not as many theories, but there may be something thrown in there. But I thought it'd be interesting, and it would also be an opportunity for me to acknowledge the people who did comment or watch and comment that I did see them and that I do read them. So, without any further ado, let's hit the first one, and the first one we have is from it was actually the first comment that was made on here, and it was from JDR. It says, "Do you think RA and his wife showed up at any of the vigils that they had for Libby and Abby?" I do want to preference this by saying that anyone accused, arrested and accused, and is awaiting trial is innocent until proven guilty. I'm not jumping on any bandwagon. I'm not going to make any accusations about people. Though I will say that going forward, if people have questions about people that are off limits, I fully understand why they have questions about them, because those people shouldn't have a free pass. So this ties into this question, which is, again, do you think RA and his wife showed up at any of the vigils they had for Libby and Abby? And I said anything is possible, because it is. And having a child, I think he had a child near that age. I do. That's why I became interested in this case. Plus, it's close to me, close to where I live. And these two girls, Abby and Libby, would have been in my son's class. And I would have been there if I lived in Delphi, especially if I was innocent of the case. I would have easily been there in support of them because I would have known who they were. I would at least had some kind of idea. So yes, I would hope that they had showed up there out of respect, especially if the accused is in fact innocent. Next comment comes from Lola. I think it's interesting that with an arrest came bridge and trail updates. Great footage. I gave the emoji with the glass onion or monocle, and which was kind of the reason that I was out there. I was out there because I found it interesting that these, which we'll cover some of the other comments in here that kind of reference what I said in there, which was, I didn't think it was highly controversial. I just thought it was kind of odd that out of nowhere, after so many years, after an arrest was made, that you would alter a key factor in the trial. Or for, we've seen for 6 going on almost 7 years now. 6 years, 5 going on 6. Getting ahead of myself there. Who knows? Could be 7 years. That we saw, everything we saw was the bridge guy walking on the bridge, and you think that you would want to not alter that because the planks they put down are wider than the railroad ties and would make a person walking on it, like me in the video, which I'm just under 6 feet tall, would make me look shorter because you would be used to what you saw in the video and thinking, okay, blah blah, here's this guy. So now if you do it and shoot a guy that's maybe 5'8", I'm just throwing things out here, he's going to look as short as somebody would that maybe 5'4". I don't know. It just seems odd that you would do that to me, to me. I know that these repairs needed to be made, but it just seems odd that they couldn't wait. And I know that sometimes the trial may linger on, and happens, and this happens, and whatever else. But the trial would be delayed. But it just seems odd that they couldn't at least wait 6 more months. And they also fixed it when I was in the beginning of winter, which I guess there's going to be less people out there, but there shouldn't be anybody out there walking on it anyway. A response to the last thing I said from Lola, which was the interesting that the arrest came and the bridge and trail updates happened. This one from Faulty W, I think, said, I only became aware of the case about a month before the arrest was made. I think the reason for the improvements now is because the arrest has brought renewed interest, and a lot more people will be going to the I think he means trail, not trial, to see the location covered in the media. Well, that could be true. You never know. Maybe they were taking advantage of it, but it's possible. I can't doubt that. Like I said, I'm not doubting anybody's comments on these. Another comment came from Zerva28. You're right, this is absolutely reckless. And after almost 6 years since the crimes, to go on now, even before a trial or the probable cause affidavit itself has been released, alter the crime scene so drastically, ? This should not have occurred until after the trial and the airtight convictions of the guilty party or parties. Yeah, I'm not sure it's reckless, but it's surprising, I guess. And I don't know what I guess I just don't want to say that it's reckless, but I understand where you're coming from. I think it's disappointing. Another comment back to Zerva came from Sammy. Improving a bridge isn't hurting anyone. To put off safety improvements is ridiculous. Totally agree. Just don't think it should have happened at that time, but I agree with that. Snarky Sass says, yes, and the timeline and family's interviews don't match up. Yeah, there's some things that I don't like about some of the timelines, but that's neither here or there. We could get into that some other time, but I'm not doing that right now. Zerva said back to Sammy, a little back and forth here. You do realize that the bridge hasn't had a train roll over it in decades, and they're just now, almost 6 years after the crimes, making these improvements. And right after arresting a suspect, instead of waiting to see if any part of the crime scene should be preserved, as it were, for the upcoming trial. Where were these safety improvements back on the afternoon of February 13th, 2017? Because if the bridge had been repaired back then and made into a safe walking bridge, like it's being made into now, the girls could have possibly had a much better chance of making it out alive. I personally believe they should have eventually torn the entire structure down and just had it jut out about 10 feet or so as a simple viewing platform over the ledge and Deer Creek in honor of the girls. That would be very nice. And sometimes you have overlooks like that, which are really nice, and it would be wonderful to be in honor of the girls, because this is about them. And it's definitely about justice, no matter who it is, because these girls deserve that. Back to the bridge itself, having some knowledge of costs for things like this, I would think that tearing the entire bridge down would be extremely costly. And shoring up and making the repairs that they did would be still cost money, but would be a heck of a lot cheaper to do than tearing the whole bridge down. I understand your point, and it's well taken. And like you said, the little jut out like they have in there's one in Grand Canyon. I think it's on the north rim. I don't know. I was only on the south rim, so it's the north rim, I think, and they got a little jut out that happens. I think it's north. And it would look cool. It would look neat there. This way you can You can see all of the water. There are some wonderful views out there. I mean, you can take all the pictures you want, but it doesn't do justice. It's really, I think its advantage is how high the bridge is. And like I said, it's wonderful views, and it would be too, again, I think it would be extremely costly to tear it down. And I know they shored up the posts or the supports on the northwest end, I believe. So that was all that they really needed to do. The rest of it looked good to me. Another question underneath that, or a comment underneath that one. I wonder if the reason they're updating the bridge now is because the prosecution wants to bring jurors to walk the bridge. I would imagine a lot of people would say, no way. But I've always heard the part of the bridge over Deer Creek Valley is in way better shape than the portion over the water. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because bridges tend to deteriorate easier or quicker. The surface of the bridge tends to deteriorate quicker because of its exposure. It's more exposure to colder air, and thus why it's watch for ice on a bridge when there's not ice anywhere else, because that happens to be colder. Engineers would know better than me, but they tend to deteriorate quicker. But this bridge being as high as it is, I don't think might not play into this. You never know. It probably has in some, since it is exposed. But a lot of the bridge over land is exposed too, and that can be just as cold. But valid point. Snarky Sass responds again. I would imagine various reasons, however, in my opinion, to keep defense from matching the ties in the video. Yep, that's a good point, because if I didn't already say it, I can't remember. A lot of talking. It's not going to, me being the height that I am, walking on the old ones, I would look much taller then than I would now if you wanted to video me as for height level, which I am almost 6 feet tall. But on the improved bridge, I'm going to be able to walk easier, of course, because it's nice. But I'm also going to, and of course, it has railings on it, but we'll cover that in another video. I'm going to look smaller than I would have, or shorter than I would have before. So, yeah, it kind of hampers that in a way. Another comment says good point to sassy or snarky sass. And another comment in here from Layla. To anyone having questions about the Monon High Bridge improvements, go to Indiana Landmarks Monon High Bridge. Indiana Landmarks is and has been in charge of this renovation since April 2017. I don't know for sure. I'll take your word for it. The truth about I know about Indiana Landmarks and them having acquired that. The truth about the project is very interesting. Yes, the project was decided April of 2017. Huh. It's like this comment's listening to me. It had been in negotiations with CSX railroads for a long time before that. The improvements were not made for a jury to view a crime scene. That is a myth. The actual crime scene and access to it is actually on private property, true. If a jury went to the bridge, they would not be able to see the crime scene, just the trails leading to the bridge. For a jury to go to the crime scene, it would be treacherous. After all, it's thick terrain. Yeah, if they wanted to go to the crime scene, they would not be on the bridge. They would probably access that through the cemetery, because that's the easiest way to get there. Anybody that looks at Google Earth can tell that. I've been in the cemetery. I don't want to go any farther than that. The cemetery out there, I think, is owned by the city of Delphi. The land behind it, of course, belonged to Ron Logan, and I'm not a big private property guy going on someone's private property, because a lot of people have a lot of weapons. So, and you can see down there. It's from the cemetery, and sort of, I guess you get let's just say you get the idea out there. Back to the actual comment. Yeah. So I don't know. the only thing I had about the actual improvements made was if you were to try to recreate a picture, maybe. Um, and Leslie says she agrees that they should have waited. Um, we got another comment. Yeah, it looks really different. Some surrounding area too. Yeah, the trails. They were gravel when I was there. Actually, it was overgrown gravel when I was there the first time, and the second time they were kind of making a few improvements. The last time I was there before recently was 2019, and it was gravel. It looks more earthy or natural that way. This way is a heck of a lot safer and more inviting to people that maybe want to take a trail but don't want to feel too woodsy, I guess. Cherry says yes, improvements have been made since the last time, about a month or so ago that I saw it. Yeah. Jane says I'm just glad they've gotten to it. It's been in plans for years. That's true. And I won't say that it doesn't look good. It's so much safer now. Para Politico says they should put the plans to a hold until the trial is over, and probably rethink altering it so radically the bridge's historic character. Reenactment of crime scene on bridge may become evidence. Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. I'll be frank, answer that. They've done reenactments of things. In fact, one of the famous pics is from that, and they share a pic of Abby, but it's from a reenactment. I'm not sure exactly what you're. I know that there's a picture of Abby that was taken by Libby, um, apparently or supposedly. Um, but yeah, if you want to do reenact it, even do a reenactment now, you could just practically go on any bridge, trail bridge, and just pretend like it's that because it doesn't look like it. Netflix, yeah. Netflix has about 80 billion documentaries. uh, anyway, I'll read that. That's from Lloyd Christmas. I'm not sure that's him because I know who Lloyd Christmas is. You just know Netflix are currently making a documentary about this case. Probably have cameras outside Allen's hearings, etc. Probably so. Like I said, there's what Netflix has about 3,000 TV shows too many and does 80 million documentaries a year. So, um, Jazzy Z. Can any parent or grandparent see themselves dropping a couple of young gals alone to walk the bridge? How is it even legal to have it as part of the trail with boards rotten and missing and no side rails? I'm surprised people don't fall off it every day. Good point. Yeah, I don't know exactly why they didn't have that closed off because it would have been fairly easy to do. There was a kind of a haphazard block to go out there the times I've been there. So now they don't really need one. And if you're getting crazy, that's your own fault now. Yeah. Uh, Somebody from New Zealand. I'm from New Zealand in the South Pacific, so I have no idea what murders occurred. Guess I better visit Uncle Google. Yeah. Let's see. There's a few more in here. This one from BJ. I would have thought they fell off that bridge before ever getting murdered. Life is crazy. That's what I thought initially. When I first heard it, the first thing that pops into my head is kids playing around. I used to screw around a lot like that when I was a kid. I mean, I can't blame them for being out there. Looking at it as a parent, I'd be PO'd that my kid was out there, but at the time, I'd have been out there as much as if when I was at that age, I'd have been out there as much as possible because that would have been extremely cool to me to be hanging around out there. Doesn't mean I wouldn't have been nervous, but kids do that thing. So anyway, when I first heard it, I assumed that one had fallen off, and then there were two there. I think, well, one fall maybe they were screwing around and she tried to grab her, and the one that got pushed was bigger. It doesn't really matter because when you got momentum, you're falling off, and a person tries to grab you, you're more than likely going to go with them. I mean, once you started falling. But that's the first thing that pops into your head, probably with this commenter, and it did with me. And that's why I said that's what I initially thought. Another comment says, as a mom, I'd love to see the whole damn thing torn down. The monster is caught, and he will reap what he has sown unless the inmates kill him first. Well, I understand where you're coming from, especially as a parent. Yeah, like I covered the bridge being torn down. Yeah, I think it would be way too costly. So, but I understand your point again with that. This one's a reference by Barbara that it's very deserted. Yes, when I was out there, we were out there. I was out there with my wife. We only, let's see, this particular video we saw a total of, trying to recall what you saw out there. I saw 2 couples and that's it. I think it was 2 couples and that's it from what I can remember. So when I was out there, standing out there, I did when I was shooting out there, I never encountered anybody, and I bet I was out there for half an hour, and I never saw anyone out there. You got to keep in mind this was Thanksgiving weekend. It was warmer, but it was very desolate. I think that is all of the. I'll do this one here. It says this is from Dodging Bullets. I think he's commented on a few of mine. What a joke! Now they are fixing the Bridge of Death. Now they put up rails and lookouts for tourists. Well, yeah, I get it. We'll cover some of that in that next video. I just wanted, like I said, I just wanted to go over some of the comments that were made and let everyone know that I read them and I hear them. And everybody's comment, I don't get rid of any comments. I don't block any comments unless it's extremely negative or hurtful to someone. But everyone's been pretty nice on there. Some people self-police. I think they chicken out later. But I wanted to go through these comments and listen to what people thought and their thoughts and feelings, and I think we got a pretty good one, or a pretty good cross section of comments or feelings about the bridge in particular. I will probably be doing a part 2 to my second video, which actually has a lot more comments on. So if you like this video, please give it a like and check out my other videos whenever you have a free chance. I've got some other things on there besides this. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. And thank you to all of my current subscribers. I'm happy to have you on board. So until the next video, I will see you then. So see you next time.